historian.
Hey everybody, Steve the amateur historian, out walking around. I don't know why I have this on right now, there's nobody near me. Walking around on what is probably going to be the last 90-degree day of the year. So why I chose to go out walking, I don't know. An unopened bag of, I almost said pistachio. Spaghetti flavored pistachios. Anyway, full bag if you have an interest. Let's go down to the bike path. Okay, so I considered doing this as a live stream, but I was like, I'm not really gonna be talking that much. It's just another like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how the future looks. So I had a very good August, YouTube speaking. And one of my older videos, my MGM Grand 1980 fire video, blew up, at least in terms of, you know, the numbers I usually do. And it's holding, it's maintaining. I got used to doing about 300 to 500 views a day for a couple of years, just 300 to 500 views a day. And now the MGM Grand video alone is holding steady around 3,000 to 4,000 views a day on its own. And even without that, I'm doing like 500 plus views a day on my other stuff. Some of that's probably because I'm bringing in more people. I brought in more than 1,000 subs since then. It's wild to think, with all the time I put into this channel, with how many videos I've done, that more than a third of my subscribers have joined just in the last like 5 weeks. Kind of blows me away. But for all that happiness, there's the other side of the story, which is that I'm not wiped out, but I'm wiped out. And I'm getting a spam call from Cisco, Texas. I get a lot of spam calls because the person who had this phone number before me, Curtis, I know because I get a lot of texts for him. This guy just gave his information to everyone. So now I'm dealing with it. So I've mentioned it in passing on like a Patreon video, I think, and maybe a live stream. And I've tried mentioning it on my channel. I even contemplated doing just a little video by itself just to explain it. And then I actually tried doing that while I was out doing my long Wildwood Trail series. But I did it near the end of my first day when I was getting really tired. And the video came off as very confrontational, I felt. And I'm like, well, that's not the message I want to deliver. But I was also like, I'd walked like 16 miles at that point. And I was just like, I have some crap to tell you. But a couple months ago, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. There it is. No, I started having symptoms of it around the start of last summer. And it took forever for us to figure out what it was, because pretty much in order to get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, you pretty much have to prove you don't have all this other stuff. So a year of seeing my doctor and like, I think 21 different tests later that show I'm in immaculate health, we, all things considered, figured out that that's what it was. And once he actually put that to me, after about a week of being in denial, I looked into it more and looked at what I was dealing with. And I was like, yeah, fibromyalgia, or just straight fibro, as I call it. If it's really bothering me, I just tell people I'm having a fibro day. It actually makes a lot of sense. So, in essence, pretty much, it's mostly in my arms. Every so often, I'll get it a little bit in my upper thighs. Get it a little bit in the stomach, because it can affect your digestion a bit. But the biggest area where it affects me is my arms. I just get, random arm pain in my muscles and my joints. Usually it's fairly manageable. Some days I'm just like, nope, this day's shot. I'm not doing anything today. And it's unpredictable. It acts up when it wants to. So it really sucks having something like that. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm young, so I deserve to not have it, but it's something that's so much more common in older people. So it sucks. getting that so early in life and realizing that this is something you may end up combating for the rest of your life. But anyway, that's there. I had this through the whole pandemic break, so literally all this, content that I've been churning out has been in the midst of dealing with that. And it was actually, if I had to have a time where I was off work for like a year, that was the good time to do it, because I could actually like rest myself. And it seems like it doesn't bother me as much as it did last year, but it causes limitations in my life, because it pretty much leaves me, it's not even really the pain that's the worst aspect of it, it's the fatigue that comes with it that just leaves me like, some days, I'm just at work and I'm just like, I just have to like trudge my way through. So life's a little bit more unpredictable due to that, meaning like I may plan on doing something and then I can have just a really bad fibro day and I'm like, nah, sorry, tomorrow or the day after. So, I'm dealing with that. I'm working more hours at my job than I ever have in the past. I'm working 32 to 40 hours depending on the week. It's a lot of stuff to do. And so it's constantly, it was a lot easier to keep churning out content when I didn't have a full-time job to go to for a while. So I'm just kind of not reconfiguring my channel, but reconfiguring my state of mind. Obviously, like everything else, when you get fibromyalgia, they don't know exactly what causes it, but one of the things it's been tied to is like stress and being overwhelmed, which again, pretty much everything you can get comes from stress, or at least stress can be an element of it. And I don't really stress myself out in my content in terms of like, oh God, this has to be perfect, this has to be perfect. In fact, I should be maybe a little bit more, mindful of the accuracy of my stuff. Not that I put inaccurate information in there, but just, especially when I make big videos and there's so much to cover, there's always like 2 or 3 little mistakes that I miss even after reviewing it, but whatever, I'm not here to tear myself down. So I'm just trying to get to a point of bringing down, whatever stress I have in my life. I used to get really stressed out when stuff would go wrong at work. Now I'm trying to let as much of it roll off my shoulders as I can, which in most aspects is fairly easy. But in terms of my channel, I have it, because I come up with a new idea and I'm like, oh, write that down. Then I come up with a new idea later and write that. Next thing you know, I've got like 30, 40 ideas, and it feels like I really have like 1,000 ideas. And it starts to get a little, and then I'll start a project and be like, okay, I'm gonna pause that, I'm gonna start working on it. And the next thing you know, you've got like 5 projects you're working on. You don't know which ones are getting done. You go look at all your story ideas, your information, like, oh wait, I need to do a video on that. I forgot all about that. I forgot I downloaded all this information. You just start getting really overwhelmed, and you feel like you're not doing enough because your mind starts playing tricks on you, starts making you think, because you have all this information and all these ideas, the fact that you haven't gotten all those videos done already, that you're somehow not doing enough. So I'm essentially doing something I should have done a long time ago, which is I'm trying to better organize stuff and only work on one project at a time. Now, the one exception to that is like if I'm working on like a big project that's going to take me like 3 weeks to a month to get done, I might go out and do a therapy walk during that. I might go out and do this little something. And I'm not going to stop doing that stuff, but like I feel like the sun is setting on my Historic Murders of Portland series. I found pretty much whatever cases I'm going to find using that database. I have enough to finish season 4 and start a season 5, so I might dedicate like 2 more days to going out and finishing what notes I have left on certain murder cases, and I can kind of, for the most part, put that series to rest. Like if I find a new story that I really want to cover, I might just, do that as like its own independent episode from time to time, but not really dedicate so much time. The last 2 years, probably half of my vlogging days, well, probably not quite, because I've done a lot of therapy walks, but in terms of days where I wasn't doing therapy walks, I was actually going out to film stuff or film, you know, history videos and specifically in that kind of stuff. Historic Murders of Portland episodes probably take up more than half of that time. So that's time I can start dedicating towards other stuff, you know? And so I just want to keep it more centered on, you know, especially if I'm working on like a documentary type project. And I know a lot of you new subs, you saw my MGM Grand video and you're probably coming over here and thinking that's going to be what all my content is. And I'm telling you right now, there's like 700 videos on my channel. But I do have, I call it my long documentary playlist. That's another thing, is I'm going to go through my playlists and try to organize them better, because there's so much content on my channel, which I'm fully aware of, that, you know, if you're new to the channel, it can overwhelm you. You can be like, how do I wade through all of this? It's like you're out in an ocean and you're sinking. You're like, I'm forgetting how to swim. So I'm going to try to readjust my playlist so that can be a primary spot that people can go to if they're looking for a specific type of content on my channel. So like I even did a post as I noticed in the MGM Grand video kind of spiking, where I was like, oh, go check out my long documentaries playlist, because that's where the stuff that I've done that's most like this video can be found. But there's a few other documentary type things I've done that aren't really that long, that aren't in a playlist. So I'm planning on making just one that's a general, I call it documentary playlist, which means like I've actually like organized it. There's more voiceovers from me, as opposed to me just going out somewhere and being like, hey, here's this building, it's a thing, and this other thing happened here. So there's that as well. But I also, one of the key things is, obviously I'm not going to stop doing therapy walks. I love those, and I love going out and discovering more about my city. But I'm probably going to start transitioning more, and especially now that we're coming to the end of summer, the rainy season is coming, the cold season's coming, and these iPhones aren't really made to handle inclement weather, as I found out through the experience of vlogging. I want my channel to become more documentary type video centric, whether it's, you know, an hour-long video or a 10-minute video. That makes them look a little bit more substantial. You know, I wish I had the time and the money and really the physical inclination to increase like any, you know, special effects I might have, because I know that's big with YouTubers. They want that production value. Maybe someday in the future. You know, a lot of big YouTubers can afford to outsource that stuff, and I can't. I'm doing all this work on my own with everything else I got to deal with. So, you know, the physical beauty, the production value attributes they're as good as I got the energy to make them right now. Store visit, free bumper cover. So that's my plans, especially for the immediate future, as it gets colder and wetter and I'm not going to be going out quite as often. That's my prime time to start hunkering down and start doing more stuff, where the brunt of the work I can do at home. So I just finished about a 46 minutes video about something that I previously had covered in the Historic Murders of Portland episode. Then I discovered more information about it and found that questions I had at the end of that episode were actually answered. And so it established the situation where I could do a much more detailed video about it, a situation that's still very much left to mystery in certain aspects. So yeah, that's more of like a documentary type video I've done. My mystery murder series, I don't know how many more episodes I'm going to do in that. I may even take some ideas I have for that and make them more in the style of like the kind of, you know, documentary type stuff that I do on the channel. So that's going to become a more prevalent thing. But I can also tell you right now, I'm starting work. I've already shot most of the footage that I would use for it, have most of the pictures, have to go through the newspaper articles I have, finish organizing everything. Why are there so many people out here on the sidewalk? Is there a murder happening? I don't know what's going on across the street. There's just a bunch of people that are literally lining the sidewalk over here. You see this? I don't know what that's about. But yeah, so I'm starting work on a fairly big project. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's about a pretty major event in Portland history. If you're a Patreon follower, wink, I think I've already mentioned that I'd be doing this, but for the rest of you, it's a mystery unless you sign up for my Patreon. And I'm also beginning research work on another project that's probably going to be even bigger. There's a bunch of people gathered on the sidewalk up here too. What the F is going on? Like, am I walking into a crime scene? I don't know what's going on. So yeah, that project, I don't even know when that's gonna get. Because again, I'm not gonna start doing actual organizing, editing, any of that stuff until my other project is done. Those are the rules I'm situating for myself. To make the channel less stressful, to make it a situation where I'm not wondering about what I need to work on. Wait, isn't there other projects I need to work on? And getting into my head too much. Just my way that I'm allowed to continue doing what I love to do on this channel without completely crushing myself. Like, I have to make some concessions at this point in my life, unfortunately. And in addition to those, trying to better organize my life, bring my stress down, eat better, drink more water. I chronically forget to drink water. So I've been having a lot of tea recently, like filling up my big jug with water, but putting, tea bags in there, and then, oh, there's flavor. Now I remember to drink it. So sad. I don't know. But yes, there's a bunch more people over there. They don't seem stressed, worked up. I just don't know why there's so many. I've never seen that before in the several months that I've lived here. And I go up and down this street all the time. I don't know, man. So yeah, there's 2 big projects I'm working on now. And so in essence, the amount of content I'm putting out is gonna be dialed back somewhat because I literally can't go as hard at this as I used to. And I shouldn't be expected to. I'm a guy with a life outside of my YouTube. I've got a full-time job. I've got a love of my life to keep happy. Like, I can only do so much. Hell yeah, brother. I can only do so much in the YouTube realm. So, because of that, that's another reason why I'm kind of wanting to become, among other reasons, wanting to become more kind of mini documentary centered on this channel. Because that, in some respects might take a little longer to do, but it's not going to be quite as demanding as like, oh God, well, in order to do this, I have to get on this max and go travel to here, and everywhere else. And considering the fact that COVID is like by far the worst it's ever been right now in Oregon, in Portland, like I'm back to like trying to avoid public transportation unless I absolutely have to take it, which is just going to work, which fortunately I'm only on the train for like 4 stops. But there's gotta be like a parade coming through because I'm seeing a bunch more people up at the corner up here too. There's just all these people. Mothers, parents. I don't know what's going on. It's distracting. But anyway, so this is just a nice way to make things easier, to work within the restrictions I have, and to actually hopefully improve the level of content I'm putting out even more. And of course, again, I'm not going to stop going out exploring. I'm not going to stop going, hey, here's a place in Portland here, because I love doing that too much. I'm just not going to overwhelm myself with that. Not going to stop doing the therapy walks. Too many of you closest followers love my channel too much. Oh, this makes sense now. School bus just pulled up. That's why there's a bunch of people, parents out here. Mystery solved. Ooh. I just didn't know people, I don't know. Maybe it's elementary, I don't know. Maybe it's just elementary school kids and the parents want to be out there. I'm like, what's going on? Was there a murder? Is this a crime scene? It's like, oh no, it's probably just a bunch of parents waiting for their kids to get off the bus. That's nice. That level of parental dedication didn't exist when I was a kid. If you lived Within a couple of blocks, her parents were like, you'll be fine. You'll find your way home. Granted, it was the 90s. We didn't realize how psychotic people really were. So anyway, that's my update. My plans for the future, dealing with my current circumstances and not letting it own me or control me. That's the best way I can get by with something like this that affects me every single day of my life. The fibro, the demon fibro. So that's how I get by, is by continuing to do what I love to do and not giving that up, but finding ways to not let it overwhelm me, among other things. So thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you're as excited for the future as I am. To all you new subscribers, thank you so much for stopping by. If you really love that MGM Grand video, because I know most of my new subs are from that, you'll probably like a lot more of what I'm doing in the future, amidst other things you'd like that are buried in the content I've already done. Whew. All that said, just now noticing the heat. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by, all of you. This has been Steve, the Amateur Historian, and I'll see you next time.